Today we're going to talk about BER inventory. BER is a simple acronym meaning beyond economic repair. BER inventory generally applies to returns, and it applies to returns in categories where the item has a high enough value that expending additional money to refurbish or recondition the item can be more than recouped by the increase in the sale price when you sell it as a reconditioned or refurbished item. Generally speaking, BER inventory is going to be in the consumer electronics category because consumer electronics generally have enough value in them to make it worthwhile. Use an example. HP, right? HP is a manufacturer that also sells directly to the public. So HP sells their products, consumers return their products. It makes sense to HP to recondition or refurbish those products and then put them out at a lower than new price, but still a significantly higher price than you could get on a liquidation market. And they can make up the amount of money that they invested to recondition and refurbish the item, right? It makes sense to them. It just all pencils out. The math works. So a lot of times people believe that BER inventory, or inventory that is beyond economic repair, is garbage, right? They think, oh, it's just the trash that nobody wants to spend the time, or it's not worth spending the time and the effort to fix it. That's not necessarily true. As a matter of fact, it's not generally true. While you will get some of that product if you're buying BER inventory that are returns, a lot of the BER inventory is going to be stuff that the item just didn't have the value to begin with to make it worthwhile to mess with, right? Or there's not enough margin in the item to make it worthwhile to try to refurbish or recondition. Examples of things that we've seen. Video cards, right? If there's a manufacturer of video cards, high-end video cards, there's not a lot of margin in a video card. So if somebody returns a video card, it just doesn't make sense. There's not enough money in that video card to justify looking at it to make sure that it's still working, refurbishing it or repairing it if need be, and then reselling it. They would be losing money if they were to do that. So rather than do that, they're just going to send it all to a liquidator as BER inventory, right? It's beyond economic repair. Not because the expense or the cost of repairing it is so high, but because the margin in the item is so low. A vast majority of those video cards that are being returned are going to be perfect, right? A vast majority of them are going to be brand new and untouched, and for whatever reason, the person got it and just decided they didn't want it, and they shipped it back. And it just doesn't make sense for that manufacturer to test every one that comes back so that they can resell it. So they send it all out as BER inventory to their liquidation partners. And that happens quite frequently. There's a lot of electronics that just doesn't make sense to even look at. So if it comes back as a return, they don't want to put it back on the shelf and guarantee that it works because it's been out of their control. So the only way they could put it on the shelf and guarantee that it worked is if they were to inspect it. But inspecting it would cost more money than they would make from selling it. So at that point, their best bet economically is simply to sell it to a liquidator and make it go away. So a lot of the BER inventory that you get as returns is actually really good inventory. It's generally going to be consumer electronics, which is a category that everybody loves. And a vast majority of it is going to be in great shape and is going to work beautifully. Now, you do have to be careful, right? If you're trying a program, or if you're getting some BER inventory from a source that you don't normally do business with, and you're trying something new, you do have to be prepared for the possibility that it is all garbage, right? It might be if you're trying somebody that you don't know. So you do have to be a little bit careful. If you're buying inventory from an unknown source, I definitely encourage you to be very cautious in your pricing, right, in what you offer, because you don't know what you're going to get. But once you've established a relationship, and once you've determined that the inventory you get from that particular source is good, then you can improve what you pay to make sure that somebody doesn't come in and overbid the contract and take it out from underneath you. So BER inventory, or beyond economic repair inventory, despite what the name suggests, is often a source of very high quality product.